Um, the Rocky Mountain Inventors Association has been around for about 38 years approximately at this point. We are a 501c3 nonprofit educational association. We're not here to sell you anything. We're here to make you an educated consumer. Okay? And there are many service providers that come and they offer their information free of charge. And that's what you're getting today. The topics vary from meeting to meeting. You just watch, what's being posted, so you know what is of interest to you. What else can I say? We don't. Again, we're not here to sell you anything, but at the same time, there are service providers here that it's really helpful for you to get to know. Because when you get to know somebody, you get a better comfort level of working with them. Or the flip side is, you don't want to work with them. Okay? And either way is perfectly fine. We all have our preferences, and that's okay. But primarily, we're here to educate you. And one of the things we want to start with the education is to let you know right now that if you have an idea or a concept in your mind that is not in patent pending status, do not how it functions, how it works, don't give us the specifics. You can talk in generalities because we don't want you to lose your ability to patent or certain patent rights. We don't want to trigger that. If you have questions about that, I'm sure Roger can explain more about that later.
Thank you for agreeing with us.
What?
What you just said.
We had a guy that came to us and
He had no idea what patents
he
were.
talked to everybody and anybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Even before he had the patent pending.
And that happens.
And that's a good way to lose it.
Right. And once they've done it, you can't pull it back.
No.
It's gone.
No. Yeah. They lose everything they put time into.
And especially because of the changes in the patenting process right now, it's first to file is the law at this point. And that has implications, so if anybody was of the old opinion that they could just talk to people or, things have changed.
Can I add to this? Make sure you got a good confidentiality agreement with them. It's something that will hold up in court. Because otherwise you're messed over for the rest of your life.
Well, and too many people pull non-disclosure agreements off the internet.
I know. No.
99% of the time,
if you're the patent preparer, if you're the one with the patent, make sure you got a good attorney.
Yeah.
Make sure he reads it over and checks it out, and that he's got a good agreement with you too.
Okay. Now, Roger and I have been involved with the Rocky Mountain Inventors Association probably for about, since '99. What's that, about 15 years at this point. So, we've volunteered our services. Roger does a lot of patenting. He's a patent attorney. We have patent agents also that are part of the group. My background is very strong in marketing. I was with General Electric Company for 13 years in Power Systems Division and the Battery Division, high tech in particular. And I have worked with inventors and businesses for the last 18 years, from companies that are startup inventors clear through multinational high-tech companies like Pelco Camera out of California, and done a lot of marketing for them. So, and everything between. So I love the inventors and innovation, and that's why I'm involved.
Okay. We'll do a quickie round robin. Just tell us who you are, what brought you here, and what you're interested in gaining.
Information is what I'm interested in gaining.
Where you at on a particular product yourself?
Actually, we have some prototypes that have been in the works.
Okay.
We didn't do that, but they've already gone to the point where we've made the prototypes, they have their patent, and we're trying to get it out to make it viable, make it money. injury reducing product. And it's in the hospital arena, and it has been tested in several hospitals, but he never went ahead and got results back.
And I apologize, Mike and I work with we're partners in this company. And the difficulty, I went out with the patent person who had developed the product. He took it out to, I'll just say this, we went to New Brighton Hospital, and he made a major presentation, and I was standing there, and all of a sudden he said, this is the price, and just shocked the heck out of the nurses.
Per
He said,
unit.
what?
No, this is the price per unit.
This is the price per unit.
Okay.
And I said, and I waited, in sales and marketing, there's a certain thing called a pregnant pause. You wait until they finally back away from it a little bit, and I said, okay, also we have a program. Here's what we'll charge on a monthly basis. After 2 years, it's yours. And the difficulty is trying to explain to certain people that are very, very knowledgeable that if you go into a hospital, you have to get to the right person that has the authority to buy. In the hospitals, we've done a lot of research on this. The least important person at hospital is the nurse, because they're replaceable. But that's who it's going to benefit the most. The average lifespan of a nurse is 12 years. And what I'm saying, we're trying to find, I mean, that's why, two things that we're trying to find too, and that's why I'm very happy that he's a patent attorney. The difficulty is finding patent attorneys out here that are real patent attorneys. I've had a couple flim-flam me or try to flim-flam me. I ask stupid questions. I'm a dumb Iowa farm boy. It works. But I'm just saying, make sure when you have a good patent attorney that he is a good patent attorney. I'm saying that's what we run into. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so I'm just here to get ideas, because marketing was listed in, I know nothing about marketing. I couldn't sell my way out of a wet paper bag. But give me the numbers and I can make them work.
Corbin.
I actually have a patent, and I just
Wonderful.
got back from the National Hardware Show.
Oh, fabulous.
So, yeah, and so I'm here because of licensing. I've worked with other inventor groups. I have been working on stuff for, well, my entire life, but the product I have is it was a hobby, and so it's a little tool, let's just say, and it's patented.
Did you go as an exhibitor or in a
Yeah,
area?
and so
Did
we
you go in
made
the
a
new
lot.
products area? Inventor area?
We weren't. Let's see, the inventors area. What we went with, and you may know Rita Crompton. Okay, and I don't know if there's. I kind of
She
am
used to
curious
be
how
in this
come two
group.
Yeah.
groups don't combine.
Well,
I don't
one's
know
for
her real
profit,
well.
this one is educational.
Okay, and so yeah, that's who I went with, and
They
I
put
didn't-
they like do one booth and have everybody in.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
and I
why
was
they got
part of her
moved
group.
out of the inventor area, because she was
Oh,
doing
really?
that. Yeah.
And but I haven't signed anything with her, and not planning on it. So
Oh, good.
I'm learning more and more. I have questions on licensing. I made a lot of contacts while I was at the inventor show.
The two-pager here. You want to pay
Yes.
attention to.
Okay. And so yeah, that's my next step is licensing. I prefer to license it instead of taking it on myself.
I know everybody does.
Yeah.
So exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll cover a lot of that and some of the
Okay.
ins and outs, and
Okay.
hopefully you've got enough information that you can make smart decisions going
Yeah,
forward.
that's what I'm after.
Okay.
Education.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
it's
right, we got
been-
two of us over here.
And learning as I go for a lot of years on this stuff.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't sign the bottom line with the guys that advertise on late night TV.
So okay. Yeah. So.
Okay, Gunther, anything else you can add
No,
to?
what I was going to add before is this. First off, I grew up in Iowa. I'm a dumb Iowa farm boy. What I'm saying, in that guise, trying to find good quality people is very difficult. Somebody that's not going to, and I apologize for my term, but somebody that is not going to screw you when you come up with a patent that is very valuable. The problem is trying to find people that you can work with that are honest. I mean, I've got a little piece on here, I'm a patent attorney, and I've got one here on OSHA. And the difficulty is how do you find those good people?
You're in the right place.
I know, no, I'm saying that's
Yeah.
why I'm here. Mike is
Yeah.
there for education,
Okay.
so am I, but I'm trying to
Good.
find the quality people out here.
Okay.
Because I know of roughly about 35 different attorneys, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't trust one of those men any farther, or women any farther than I can throw them.
Yeah. And some of them are. Mhm.
They're,
But there are some
yeah.
good reasons why
yes,
they operate the way they do.
yeah,
Okay.
and they make a lot of money off of your ideas. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm Jeff Sadinsky. I'm a web developer and web designer and graphic designer. So I come to the meetings every so often to help you guys with web getting online, answering any questions you have, search engine optimization, Google ranking, that kind of stuff, social media. So I'm more of a the digital end of everything. And if you guys have any questions on, selling or even launching, I'm here to help you guys out.
Thank you. Let me call you back.
Roger Jackson here.
Let
I'm
me call you in a second.
currently treasurer. Bonnie said how long we've been in it. So I'm a licensed engineer in the state. I did oil and gas for 23 years, and primarily I've been planning in pumps, compressors, control systems, and then I morphed into this. In the late 90s, I've been doing this, well, ever since I've been in this group, because I was involved with Pat and Anderson and Tanner and a company that's all kind of whitewashed because they always own everything you do. You just get named on patent. So this way, I'm dealing with a broad group of people, and it's very interesting. And it's fun to help companies and individuals get going on their ideas. Although it's discouraging for people. It's very difficult to commercialize. It's the trickiest part. I mean, it's a lot of situations you get people who kind of have a trademark and then they just kind of stall. And it's really a hard road, and that's one thing we try to do in this group is, like the last two meetings we had management and funding and manufacturing. We try to give you a broad exposure to all the things you'll be dealing with to get a company going, at least get your product going on a small scale, because it seems to be most typical route of success.
Yeah. Not too many people come in and say, well, I've got, 1.5 million, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do with it.
Well, they might do that once, but then
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
After they lost the first 0.15, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I'll start on the licensing legal, and we'll kind of have to storm through. You can talk to me afterward, because this could take up the whole time.
And so could mine, so.
That's fine.
So yeah, anyway, going through this list. Now the OSHA thing, not really related to patents and licensing. That's regulations. That's a separate issue.
Well, that was what, again, the question that I ran into there. They say that they go in and audit for safety equipment, improved safety equipment. They give $10,000 grants to each and every hospital or each and every nursing home.
There can be incentives or government grants and payments, but you have to.
Yeah, but I was trying to get a list of their regulations, what they used as criteria.
You have to be careful though, because there could be strings attached to this stuff.
Yeah, well then that's.
You gotta know.
But they told us they don't have any regulations
Yeah.
Okay.
that they use.
They change them as they go.
I can refer you to a guy that knows quite a few FDA people, and they might know some OSHA people. 'Cause
Okay.
a lot of times in dealing with these agencies, you get a private organization that deals with them as an intermediary all the time, and they know
Right.
what you can do and what you can't do and what buttons to push, and they're kind of your in, because it's too hard for you to go in and like you're gonna be knocking on the wrong doors.
We found that out.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So exclusive, yes, but exclusive is like, how you define it. Is it exclusive to a territory, a market, a field of use? There's all kinds of ways to define it. And if you do get a licensee, they'll probably want to define it very broadly. So basically, you can't sell and make your product. They got entire rights on it. So they tie your hands behind your back.
So what's typical? I mean, can you?
Well, from the licensee standpoint, who is the acquirer of the right piece of technology, they want this as broad as possible. So to protect yourself, this feeds right into this.
Mhm.
Say, okay, if you're tying my hands on this product and I cannot sell it, market to anyone else, you gotta pay me minimum royalties. Okay, or we're gonna have, a renewal clause at 1, 2, or 3 years. I'm not gonna be tied into this thing for very long. Or you're gonna give them milestones, like, okay, you gotta spend so many thousands of dollars in marketing promotion by this date. So, in other words, you don't give an exclusive and go, okay, see ya. You force them to do things.
Mhm.
And if they don't do them, you're out, you find another licensee. The whole thing is, if the agreement isn't working, you don't want to be trapped. You just not. Because a license agreement, it's a state contract, but it's a very scary one legally. We call it a fiduciary, which is, it reaches into the future with good faith. So you got to trust these people into the future. So you got to be very careful with them. The other kind of contract is called executory. Like you buy a car, I exchange money for the vehicle, we're done, we each go our own way. That's a much lower risk contract. The fiduciary, you're kind of like living with this licensee who is your partner, but also could be a very nasty competitor because they know all your insider information. So you gotta be careful. Like there's clauses, anti-cannibalism, so they don't attack your own patent. They don't become your competitor. All these sorts of things.
And
So
they can find the weak points that you have in it and take over
yeah.
too as well.
So anyway, it's usually exclusive, and if that's the case, which means you're giving up a lot, then you're going to hold them down to some sort of schedule for minimum sales, minimum royalties, or some sort of accomplishments. I don't know, what was this market unusual?
I'll cover it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we kind of
Unusual
touched on
IP,
this.
right.
Different markets and segments. Boy, that's completely up to the parties. The main thing is you want to define it clearly so there's no confusion. Because a big deal in government contracts, if the government finances your research, they get an implied royalty-free license, lifetime, for their use. You get the only IP, and you can license out for other uses. So it's very important to define what their use is. And to pay for the research. Marketing to government, I guess Bonnie could cover that. It's just a matter of just be careful. If the government's paying for any of your work or research, make sure you know the implications of that. The default rule is you own the intellectual property, you're probably going to pay for the patents. They're going to pay the research, and they get a lifetime use of the technology for government uses, and you get other uses. So depending on the situation, it could be beneficial to you on the technology. It can get a little sticky when you got government employees as inventors and private contract employees as inventors, and then we have this joint situation between private and government, who's going to sign to who and own. But in a typical situation, the government's funding the research to the private contractor. The private contractor is doing the inventing, and they aren't either. And so they're going to own the intellectual property, subject to the government's use. Questions?
If you get a grant to develop it,
Like an SBIR.
yeah, does the government then own that right
They own the right for their use.
for their use?
Right. I mean, that's the default rule.
Okay,
Now, there's exceptions. If it's defense, if it's nuclear, if it's weaponry, special rules. They
Well-
may not give up ownership.
you brought up defense.
Yeah. So it
Okay,
depends
and
on the
this-
nature of the product.
Yeah, in this particular case, it would be sold to the VA centers.
Is it a weapon or something?
No,
Well, then you're probably okay.
Okay, but it would have to come through the Pentagon because it's on the, it's a sale to the VA center. and
Yeah, and
it's
then
for use.
again, that's a case for intermediaries.
Okay, that, again, thank you, that, cause
I've done patents for the US government. So I use an intermediary that has the contacts there to work it, you know. Because going in as a bare vendor, you know, you need someone who knows where to go. Okay, so the main cautions on a license, you know, it may not work out and you're stuck with these people. So the main thing is make sure you have outs. It's the way a lawyer looks at a contract. Have I got an out if things aren't going right? You know, you don't want to be stuck. Okay, so, you know, a lot of times someone will license a product and then they sit on it.
Right.
Nothing happens. And your patent is starting to die, right? Its life is getting exhausted. So it's important that, you know, you cut this off. So I would say, you know, like mandatory renewals every 1, 2, or 3 years. If they want to tie you up for 5 years, it's too long.
Okay.
Okay, so I know somebody mentioned about infringement, product improvements. I mean, there's a whole host of things. A license agreement usually runs 20 to 60 pages, and a lot of it is all these loose ends, like someone's infringing, who enforces, who watches the market. Okay, so that should be agreed to at a time. Improvements to the product, who pays for, who owns them. Okay, and the licensing royalty rate. There's publications you can get. It can vary quite a bit, but the main split is, and this is open, how much work you do versus the licensee. If the licensee is doing almost everything, they're enforcing the patent, they're paying for the improvements, you're just sitting back collecting royalty checks, then you're going to look at 1%, 2%, maybe 0.5%. I've seen it at 0.5%.
Okay.
It's when the licensor is extremely passive. But there's other cases where you're going to be involved in the business. You might be doing tech support. You might agree to do enforcement, things like that. So the more you do, the higher the royalty rate to you. And one thing I might mention in royalty-wise, talk about, wow, the rule of thumb's 5, but it's 5 of what? It's very important to very clearly define what the percentage is.
And what's typical?
It's a number that's consistent. So let's say in a typical consumer product, it's probably wholesale price or manufacturer sales price. Typically not retail price because that gets marked up, that gets marked down. So we kind of move back in the marketing channel to where the price is more stable. Okay. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be number of units. You just agree on a dollar.
Dollar a unit, whatever that is.
And so the important thing in whatever you agree to, because it is wide open, is that you always have the right to audit, you know, to make sure they tell you they sell 100, and they're not actually selling 150.
Right.
Because if they're paying you a lot of royalties, they're probably going to be thinking of how to pay you something.
Yeah.
You want to trust. What was it Reagan said? Trust or verify.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the licensee's kind of your partner and kind of your potential dangerous competitor at the same time. Assignment issues, big deal. Like I'm dealing with company A, I don't want them to sign a company B without my permission. No changes unless approved in writing. There's a thing called marching rights, and that just means it's kind of like first right of refusal rights. It's like someone gets priority. For what? I'm the licensor. I'm getting older. I want to retire. I've got a license agreement. I'm probably going to sell my patent. So one march-in right of my licensee is they have first dibs on whether to purchase patent.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
a good point.
it's like anything changes, somebody's going to get the first right to either accept or refuse it. They get a priority. Okay. Because, you know, at that point, that patent may become very important to them. Of course, there's always a confidentiality clause because you're disclosing more than the patented technology. There's trade secrets, marketing strategy, financial plans, business-related stuff that needs to be kept confidential between the parties. And then regulation, compliance. You know, certain industries there's none, other ones there's a lot. So you've got to specify who's responsible for all this, who handles warranty and service issues, product, stuff like that. And of course, the typical life of the license agreement will equal the life of the patent. When a patent expires, the license has to die. There's no exclusive life. But there's another issue with the patent called exhaustion. And so this can happen during the patent life when the end user legitimately acquires a product. The intellectual property rights exhaust with reference to that product and that user. Like you buy a car from GM, it's got a lot of pants on it stuff. But when you legitimately buy it, those patent rights all, we call it exhaust. They die. So you're free to modify the car, you're free to use the car, you're free to sell the car. Okay. And you know, the prohibitions on infringement are make, use, sell, offer to sell, and import. So the only thing you can't do is manufacture new cars, but that would be creating a new product. But as far as the product you get, you're free to alter, resell, do whatever you want. So nobody can sue you for infringement. That's called exhaustion. And sometimes you have to define where exhaustion occurs, because that's the termination of the patent's rights before it expires. Sometimes there's issues. Sometimes a trademark comes along with it, or use of the license or name. Sometimes people want to keep things confidential. Modifications to the agreement. You know, you need a procedure in place. Someone wants to change a term. Who it has to get approved by. Sometimes there's some general terms about, this might move more towards a franchise type agreement. A franchise is a license. It's a license that's very, the umbrella is huge. You know, the franchisee is controlled from soup to nuts. When I license patent technology, I'm only controlling the technology. Okay, but sometimes it's important that your licensee, you know, how they present your product and how it's associated. You want to control the image and the quality levels, and you know, some things, you know, because a licensee might get it and make it really cheesy and cheap, and then ruin your product reputation in the market. So you know, you think about some of these issues. Oh, and one thing very important: if you're dealing with a company that's done licenses before, talk to their past licensors. You know, their experiences, happy, unhappy.
So when you say pass,
like you're gonna license out to Acme Corporation. Okay, find out who has licensed with Acme before, what their experience was.
and that are not current with them. Anyone,
Acme may
including.
give you some names you might research on your own, because they may just give you the names of the happy ones.
That's right.
But you want to talk to people that have dealt with them, and you know, if most of them are reasonably happy, that's a very good sign. If most of them are not happy, then you really got to think about it. 'Cause you want to know how their past dealings.
Okay.
Is there any treatment?
Good point.
Yeah. that's the detailed licensing. That's about all I have, unless you got questions. And so I know I threw out a lot at you, but
What could somebody expect to pay to have representation either from an attorney or licensing agent as an inventor? What's
well, there's all kinds of ways to do it. An attorney, if they do the license agreement, it would be just a fixed fee, depending on how complex it is. If you're dealing with a big company, you're going to be doing their agreement. Now, what
Okay.
you want to do is get their agreement and review it with an attorney and go, you know, you just want to understand what you're getting into.
Yep.
There may be some one-sided terms in there, but it may not matter too much, but you need to know. They
and
may have some flexibility on changing to it.
okay, that was my next
You know,
question.
if there's a term in there that's just really nasty,
Uh-huh.
like totally in their favor, then you can certainly ask about it.
Right.
Based on the ones that I've seen for people that deal in the medical arena, the nasty is more common than not.
Oh yeah, they're always going to be somewhat one-sided.
Yeah, it really
Sure.
was.
But you know, this is the tricky part of commercialization. You've got to weigh the business judgment. It's a slightly unfavorable agreement, but what's the upside opportunity with this company? And it's like, is this negative term going to get exercised or really happen? You know, and these are the things you got to weigh. It's kind of like, if you listen to everything a lawyer says, if you're too legally conservative, you'll never do any business. If you listen to nothing your lawyer says, you're playing too fast and loose.
Yeah.
You're
well,
gonna run into trouble. So there's this judgment in here, you know, like listen to some of what the lawyer says, but then evaluate it against the business potential.
You can't back them into a corner and expect to win. Because
Yeah.
they're gonna fight.
And if you're not careful, you'll be damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always that story about, you know, how Bill Gates actually has a big break with IBM.
Yeah.
He accepted IBM's completely one-sided confidentiality agreement. His predecessor company rejected it, and that gave Bill the chance to do the operating system for the then new PCs. So that was his big break by accepting a bad legal agreement, because he knew that, hey, the business potential is so great, and you know, this term is not really gonna hurt me.
Could I suggest to you, know your competition. Know who's out there
Yeah.
that's going to try to kill you. Know them well.
So how many license agreements have you done? You've been doing this for a long
Oh, I
time.
don't know, 100. And you know, patent, trademark, copyright. You can also do trade secret. I mean, you can license almost anything.
Yeah.
But patent, probably the most common. But you know, they're all unique, and you know, I just, as an overall rule of thumb, protect yourself in case use a licensor or the licensee is not performing. You're not tied up for very long.
Yeah. Got
And
that.
as far as like someone acting as a licensing agent, Bonnie can talk more to that because they'll do a royalty split, which that could be for or against your favor. I don't know. Depends on what happens with the product, I guess. Anyway, this 2-pager I put together. This was just something I threw out because you know, inventors all the time want to just license. I don't want to start a company. I don't want to start manufacturing. I don't want to make a product. Actually, out of 500 clients, I've had one kind of licensing agreement right out of the gate. Actually, his licensee did the patent too, but this guy had a prior relationship with this company and had done inventing with them, so he
That's
knew
different.
everybody. He had an in. But if you're coming from the outside,
Yeah.
let's look at option 1 here, invent a reality check. This is statistics, but that's, you've got, your chances are about 0.5% or 1 in 200 of getting a deal out of the gate, or even if you got a patent, that's gonna at least break you even. Because you gotta define what success is. Well, breaking even's not great success. But that's 1 out of 200, and that data is from InventHelp. So it's probably, and they're only doing that because it's an FTC requirement. So they probably got that number improved. So, okay, you do a new invention, you do a patent, 0.5% chance of winning, 1 in 200. If you play the Colorado lottery, you break even at a 1 in 7.5 odds. And if you flip it around to the Colorado lottery of odds of 1 in 200, which licensing is, you pay off 16 to 1, not just break even. So the statistics are, if you just play lottery, you do a lot better, but you're not going to win it.
Or even Blackhawk. That's
You're
what
not going to have the fun. But my point is, when you're doing the licensing thing, your chances of success are paper thin. Unless you got some solid connections in a company, right, Bonnie? I mean, you really, it's hard. So option 2 is, and no one wants to hear this, actually starting your company. Now think of it this way: your attractiveness to a licensee is based upon you got a product in the market that's making money, even if it's small scale. If you go from 0 to that, you look a lot better because it's kind of proven out. You've shown your commitment. Your chances of getting licensing after that are way higher.
It's kind of like the Shark Tank. They ask that question.
Yeah. If you go to Shark Tank and you go, well, I've sold 302
Haven't
of
sold
these,
any.
and I'm making
But you guys know what
much
you're
money.
doing.
Then people get interested because and it's
You
the
have a
same way
track
with
record.
angels. You proved it, at least initially. And if because the question is, if you haven't been making and selling, why not? Is there a problem?
Or you can't sell your product at all, kind of.
And so anyway, entrepreneurial success rates, statistics are all over the place, but most people generally agree about 10%. Our businesses are still going after 3 to 5 years. So, man, that's a lot better than 1 in 200. Anyway, starting your own company, it's a lot of work. You're going to need partners. You're going to need funding. So that's why people don't like it, because it's a much bigger commitment. But it makes you much more special, right? At the bottom here, I'm talking about funding. Friends and family, of course, are the most likely startup for about 90% of the companies. But statistics show angels and ventures are about 8 to 9% of startup funding. So they're very picky because they want to make big bucks. So chances are you're not going to fall in that group. But when your company comes up in value, like you're making profitable sales, the angel interest statistically about doubles when you hit $1 million valuation, which means you're a big, smaller guy. But you've got some sales, you're going along, maybe you've got 5 people, so the angels get interested. And then the venture capitalists, their interest more than triples when you hit $4 million valuation. Because the professional finance people, they're looking to come in on something that's already working and scaling. They just want to take it from here to grow it. They don't want to start new. Too risky. So that's why it's so hard to get funding initially, or seed funding. But probably the easiest and best way: form an LLC, get manager members, have people work in the business, and invest money. It's the easiest legally, as opposed to pure investors. Easiest to set up. And that way they don't have to be accredited, which means they accredited, like an angel's accredited, they have to be at least a millionaire. But if you have people working in the business, then that doesn't apply. And it's like you're less less attractive to the funding people and stuff if you're alone. I mean, because it's like you can't do it all. You have some skills, you need some complementary skills in other areas, so that's what these other people provide. You do the technical, you need someone in marketing. You know, you might need someone in finance. You might need someone in whatever. So that concludes me. If anyone's got any questions, I could have never done this with a big group because I'd have got
Too many questions.
Yeah. Just the bottom line on the two-pager is, you know, there's a lot of organizations that will kind of give you unrealistic expectations on the success of licensing, like the invention promotion places. And the reality is, most people, it just doesn't go anywhere. You pretty much, I tell clients this all the time, you've got to pretty much swallow the pill that you need to start a company and start making and selling, at least on a limited scale. And then your attractiveness to everybody, investors and licensees, goes way up. Anybody get on track?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you give me one of the 2-pagers? I don't have that.
Oh.
I got the 3-pagers, and I thought,
Well, did
Yeah.
you pass around? No, I'm sorry.
then I think you
Okay,
need a 3-pager.
I thought you were
right?
asking a different question.
Then he
Okay,
needs a
let-
3-pager.
Let's take a real quick break, and then I'll
Thanks.
start in, do
Mhm.
the marketing end of the licensing and ins and outs of that.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, perfect timing too.
Yeah, I was just looking at it and saying, it doesn't make sense
Usually
for
we're
me
like
to start
doing
now.
a marathon, like no one wants to break.
Right, so we take just a quick break. There's snacks over there, help yourself, drinks, I think Roger brought some yummy cookies. And then
Roger, could you give me that name?
Huh?
You said you might have a name? The person
Yes.
has an OSHA. I appreciate
I get it
that.
on my phone.
Okay, thanks.
And it's Steve Rosen.
Pete? Is it Pete Rosen? you said?
In the
Steve.
restroom.
Steve, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you go down to the bottom of the stairs and keep going straight,
That's a name I
and it's
didn't
on
have
the
on
left.
my list.
Okay.
I didn't either.
Okay?
R-O-S-E-N?
ROSEN.
Okay. I hate to ask, do you have a phone number or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good.
Okay, it's 303 819 8058.
Okay,
I'll give you his email too.
okay.
It's SANDRMED, like SNR med, at msn.com.
Would you mind if we use you as a,
No, yeah, you know, I just saw him today, 'cause he
Oh,
was at
okay.
the
Okay.
patent appeal board
okay. And I,
show, they called it a show.
I hate to bug you about that because, but we got into OSHA up in
Oh, jeez.
Wyoming,
Uh-huh.
but they're not officially OSHA. We have.
Oh,
we're
they're like a
state that have-
contractor?
That's right.
Basically.
And so then I was trying to get back to OSHA, and boy, I tell you what,
and
it's.
so we're trying to get into OSHA here, but the guy here in Denver is a guy for the regional, and then he doesn't want to commit to anything, he won't sit. You get to the point of saying, this is nuts.
I, believe me, I mean, I fight the patent office, dude.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get them to come present to our group for years.
They don't want to.
Well, they, you know, the federal government, they made an announcement at the Denver Patent Office, and it was like such a big deal. Well, when it came down to it, there's no office and no people. They're gonna do it.
That's
It
sort of what
didn't
we,
exist yet, so it was like a political announcement.
Uh-huh.
Because I found out the address, I go there, well, the building was like closed up and they were remodeling it. This was 2 years ago. And so now, it's supposed to open this summer with 3 people.
see, I did that kind of work in Merck and also Rhode Blank. And I'm now trying to do it here on a smaller scale, all of a sudden, you're a total nerd, you're stupid. You find out very quickly that you gotta make connections and connections upon connections.
Yeah, because
But see, when I
it sounded so good to have a local patent office, but
Yeah.
it seems like we just can't get anything 'cause, you know, I go, I knew one guy that worked there. I said, you wanna get a speaker, I wanna have, you know, a patent person here, like a reporter. Well, I don't know if I've got authority to say that, you'll have to talk to someone
Yeah,
else.
bingo.
Yeah.
And then,
That's exactly
so
what we
then
got.
I get referred to Washington DC, and then I get referred to like 3-4 different people there,
Been there, done that.
and then you kinda just give up, but that's what they want.
But see, I mean, again, I'm not trying to say Merck or Rome Blank, but I mean, when I called from Merck or Rome Blank, I got every answer I wanted. And they're almost like falling over to help you. Now that we're out here, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
bye.
yeah. Well, you know,
It's a different.
you ever watch the show Parks and Rec with
Yeah.
Ron Swanson? You know, when he gets a member of the public in, he has all these strategies to like make them want to go away.
Yeah. I understand.
It's so funny.
See, just like when I was at Merck, we had people coming in with patents, and that was what we wanted to do, just have them go away. We wanted to only come from Merck Sharp and
Yeah, it's
Research
the,
and other,
What do they call it? The NIH, not invented here.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another big discouragement. You know, the individual center, like they approach big companies.
But like you're saying, you have to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody
Yeah,
to get
you
in.
gotta have a strong, high level insight.
Yes.
Computer stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Thank you. You said the same thing, but I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, they're in business to benefit them. You come in, you know what you are? You're a pain.
You're a problem.
Yeah,
We don't want
you're
to deal
like
with
an
it.
extra hassle.
I know.
My day was fine until you showed up, and so why don't you just go?
Yeah, and again, that's the attitude that I ran into.
Just go away, please. Shut up and don't come back. Sorry.
well, my end of this is, okay, what do you do? Where do you start, and where do you go if you want to try the licensing route? What are your options here? I'm going to tell you, a lot of experiences that I've had. I'm also want to warn you up front that I'm not here to paint a rosy picture. I'm here to give you the reality, a reality check, so to speak. So, a dose of realism, that's what I can offer you. Roger gave you a bit of that earlier. I know it can sound discouraging, but I think the more you are educated about the topic, then you're not going to fall into the hands of people who are looking for your money and to take advantage of your naivete.
Okay, I have one question there.
Mm-hmm.
This might, but we are in possession of a product that we know will work. I've had an attorney who handles those cases for the hospital in Cheyenne, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you're gonna cut my business by 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And you take that to the hospitals, or you take it, and so
They don't want to lose money.
Yeah, it's a reality check. And I'm going, what? But again, the nurses are like Kleenex to them.
Yeah.
They're usable,
They're
and disposable,
replaceable.
Right.
because they can replace them.
There's always some
I'm
kids coming out of
I've
college.
got,
Is-
18 years of history in doing this kind of work with inventors, so I have a lot of background and successes and
I should've
horror
started 18
stories
years
and yeah. So but a lot of people will tell you, do a business plan. Don't. It's a waste of time. Licensing, I'll tell you right up front, it's a long shot at best. Roger kind of covered that too. So be very careful about people who, give you false hope. If they don't warn you up front of the probabilities and, give you a real shot of realism like I'm going to give you, then they're not there to help you. They're there to help their own bank account.
And the worst
Okay.
of it, those people that you're trying to sell this concept to or develop this idea with, they don't have the same common sense you have. They don't have the same logic you have. They don't have the same integrity you have. And it's difficult.
So, and if you thought this was going to be an easy process and licensing was going to be the easier way out,
you know, think again there, because even licensing your intellectual property or a product that's finished is a lot of hard work. Whether you're launching a product or you're looking to license, 80% of whether you succeed or not has to do with the marketing. So you can have the best product in the world, you can have, you know, a cure for cancer, and it's going to really come down to who's going to believe you and how are you going to present that so they will. Okay, so there are a lot of great products that have gone nowhere. Understanding your options is critical. You're in the right place right now because you're educating yourself. That is where every inventor should start, because if they were educating themselves in the right way, then they're not going to be falling into the hands of companies that make millions of dollars in just taking your money without any kind of results or, you know, really a product that you can do anything with. When you have an idea, when you're first starting out with an idea in your head, you want to take a look at it from these perspectives here. If it's marketable and it's patentable, it has higher value. Okay? If it's marketable and it's not patentable, that doesn't mean you ditch it. You may still get it on the market. Most products on the market are not patented. So keep that in mind. Okay? But this is a priority order here. Your success decreases as you go down this list. The last one, it's not marketable, but it is patentable. Now, you might say, well, when can that occur? How can something be patentable but not marketable? Well, if what you have, in order for you to use it, depends upon another product that is patented, you can't market yours without also getting the rights to the other product.
Like that iPhone case, where you
Right.
really depended upon that product.
Oh, I see.
You see?
Yeah.
So, I mean, normally I'd say, look, if it's not marketable and it's patentable, don't, ditch it, forget it. But there are situations in which that makes sense to pursue. You just have to know what you're up against. Because if you can't take it to market yourself, don't be spending a lot of money on packaging your product and getting it ready to go, because you're wasting your time and money. Okay? And a lot of marketing companies don't understand intellectual property as it relates to marketing. That is an unusual combination. Usually they're there to either put up a website for you, or they want to do packaging, or they want to help you with your contact management, create email lists for you. I mean, there are a ton of things that can be done with marketing that may not be even timed right with your intellectual property, and could be detrimental to you if you don't do it in the right order when it comes to marketing. Most marketing companies, or marketing agencies I should say, focus on big customers. An inventor walks in and you're a nuisance to them. So they're going to charge you high prices, and it's not their responsibility to know about intellectual property and how it relates. I've had some people come in who they went to some marketing company and started putting out press releases, and the people never filed for a patent. So what do you think that does? Okay? There go your intellectual property rights. Is it their responsibility to understand intellectual property rights as a marketing agency? No. Okay?
Is that typical then? They just assume you got that done.
No, they don't even go there. Okay?
Yeah.
They're in business.
They don't care.
Why would they want the liability?
They're in business to write press releases.
Right.
They're in business to get you into a catalog. Intellectual property is not part of that equation.
And they're not here to educate you.
No. They're there to perform a service and get paid. Okay? That's what most marketing companies are about. So knowing a marketing company's connection with intellectual property and how they deal with that is probably a good thing to ask as you're working with a company. And not just about their marketing. Okay. So, patenting, it's not going to be your golden parachute unless you're Bill Gates. Okay? Understand that what a patent gives you, it does not protect you for anything, for one thing. That's a mistaken assumption by most inventors that a patent protects you. It doesn't. It gives you the right to sue somebody.
That's a good point.
And that is a very key point. You know, when you're going with, oh, I'm sorry. Gee, I didn't give you
That's
the
right.
handouts here. I'm here sitting here holding them. Okay.
You're good, yeah, good.
Okay.
It's good.
So if it gives you the right to sue and somebody infringes, you're looking at infringement suits start at about $600,000
Yeah.
and go up from there. So don't even go there. Okay? So but at the same time, if you're going for licensing, you may need that patent to increase your value in going forward, and to give somebody, whether it's you or not, or maybe it's a company that you end up licensing to, the right to sue somebody if need be. Keep in mind that only 24% of patent holders succeed.
And understand this, to give you an idea, again, I'll use Merck as an example. We have one building that's 4 stories up with a total of 75 attorneys per floor. And when you go after a company who's doing something like that to you, you better make certain you got deep pockets, because they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Now, a lot of inventors say, well, gee, I'll just do it on contingency. Well, it depends on who is infringing. Because if they have very deep pockets, even the contingency is going to cost you for time, materials. I mean, there's basic expenses that you're going to have to pay out of your pocket anyway.
Yeah, third parties and materials. The contingency is only the attorney fees, so there's other.
Right.
And they can blow you away with that.
Mm-hmm. So now I have to be totally honest with you here that on number 3, where I say only 24% of patent holders succeed in infringement litigation, that is the percentage of those that go to litigation. There are some that are actually settled outside of court. But the majority are found in, either the patent is invalid, it wasn't written as soundly as you thought it was. God only knows. There are all kinds of reasons that they can
24%
deny
is
it.
high, though, isn't it?
It's actually pretty low.
I mean, no, but I'm saying
if you have a patent and somebody's infringing.
Okay. Well, for what actually happens, that's pretty low, though, I think, isn't it? At least
It is
I'm
low.
sorry. Because I thought it was much lower than 24%.
That's 24% that go to litigation.
Okay.
But you have to realize that going to litigation,
Doesn't mean anything.
people either are very stubborn or they think they really have a sound reason for going to litigation, or they can't resolve it out of court.
Alternatives, and what we ran into today is patent office has expanded their, it's called the Article 1 courts, administrative court. So they can handle a full range of patent invalidation things, which is an alternative to this. It costs, well, if it goes all the way, it may be half the cost, but it's, all you can do with it is attack the patent. So it's going to be someone accused of infringement, and I'm trying to get this patent narrowed up. And that statistic, it was like 28% claim invalidation rate. So about 1 in 3 patent claims get thrown out that are already in issue patents because of some new or something like that. So that's another idea. But anyway, that's
Oh.
the
And what was that
power of
called?
the patent is it can be important. The threat of it. You use it, to give yourself a government stamp of approval.
They invalidate a claim. Number 4, this is for people to keep in mind that about 75% or more of the commercialized products in a store, on a shelf, or in a catalog, or online, are not patented. Okay? So a patent is not your salvation, your end all, your ticket to retirement at the age of 40. It's not going to happen that way. Okay? Most licensees want a product that's already successful over a patent. When I've worked with clients, the ones that I've gotten licensed were ones that have already been to market and proved it. They've already received some sales. So here's the ranking of how licensees value what you have. Number one is they want a solid patent with product sales. That's the Cadillac, the gold standard. So obviously that's not about licensing. That's about launching a business. Okay? Two is a successful product without a patent, just a successful product. Because if you've established a good trademark, a name, you're out there on the market, it's selling well, a big company will be more interested in then buying you out, taking your product and what you've got and all your customers, buying your contact list, and then taking it over from there. So that's a win-win too. A solid patent, working prototype, and a professional presentation are next. Because you're asking then that that licensee to do all the work. Now you may think you've done all the work, but the reality is you've only done a tip of the iceberg. The patenting and a working prototype and the presentation is a good sales tool, but actually putting that product on the market, getting the investment funds to make it a reality, is the bulk of the whole thing. So intellectual property, again, gives you the right to fight. So they have to believe enough in your intellectual property at that point to say, I'm willing to invest, if somebody infringes on this, $600,000 or more, and usually more, to protect this. So is that starting to come together now? Why they're not real excited about licensing? Okay. You better have something of value.
Which, means commercially significant. I mean,
right.
Selling tens of thousands of units, because that way you can justify going.
You have to make a lot of money for that company that's licensing. Number 4 is a patent pending, which can be either a provisional, which we call a PPA, and it's not a patent, it's a provisional application. Okay? I've heard so many people say it's a provisional patent. No, it's not. There is no such thing. It's an application, and it's provisional in that it goes in the trash can at the end of the year if you haven't followed through. Now, the other thing that licensees know is that about 95% of provisional patents never mature into a full patent. So if you're going to somebody with a provisional patent and you're at the end, or provisional, here I'm saying it, a PPA, provisional application, okay, you go to them with that, and let's say you're 8 months into that provisional and you haven't filed for the utility. They're going to know that. They have to know that. And if they also know, and they will, that 95% of them never mature into real patents, what's to prevent them to wait you out? You're the little guy.
Right.
So you let the thing fall. You don't file a utility. They go do it. Okay? Do it yourself patent, using a provisional application, or just an idea, your probability is a hair over 0. And that's only if you already are in the company. Maybe you retired from the company and you're coming back and they know you. Say, hey, I've got an idea. They may, excuse me.
But from the outside, sometimes Mike just brought up the guy that we were trying to deal with. They don't want to listen to you. They think they know all the answers.
Let them go try it.
And so we did. We just said, okay, see ya, bye.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going,
Mm-hmm.
And now he's trying to come back again.
Yeah, and
He
that's
just
what
gave me a
happens.
call yesterday, Mike.
Either
Yeah.
that or their egos don't let them come
No.
back. They just
No.
go away or find somebody else to do it.
See, the worst for a company too that's trying to help people with patents is that, gee, we found out you're right. I said, yeah, but your patent's gone. I said, it's not us. We aren't having anything to do with it. You just let it's gone down the toilet.
So the worst thing you can do
Yeah,
if you're thinking about licensing is a do-it-yourself patent.
that's right.
Worthless. Totally worthless.
Mhm.
Because if only 24%
Maybe.
in infringement make it and aren't challenged, what do you think's going to happen when you write those claims yourself? These guys don't go to law school for no reason.
And what I will say, there are decent people out there that will try to work with you, but there are a lot of crooks.
So you want to be prepared to succeed. If you're going to succeed, is you need to set goals, figure out a budget for yourself. Then you probably say, why do I need a budget? I want a license, right? Okay, we'll get into that in a minute.
You will find out you need a budget.
Figure out what your to-do list is. What do you need to do in succession, and follow through on those to-dos. Assign who's going to do it. You're going to need a team, as Roger had alluded to earlier. You know, you cannot be a jack of all trades. Not anymore today. My father was years ago. You know, that was great. But he's 89 and things were different back then. Everything is very specialized. People have different strengths and weaknesses, and if you don't know your own, find out, because they're going to come back to bite you. Okay? We're all a little bit different, and it takes a team of different people to make something successful, not the same. And our natural tendency is to be attracted to people who are like us, not different.
And you have to be prepared to not be so possessive and controlling. You have to
Yeah.
clinically and objectively let go of your idea, because these other people are going to come in, they're going to get ownership, you're going to become probably a minority stakeholder, they're going to have other ideas, say, and that's just the way it's going to go.
And they might have good ideas.
Yeah, but you've got to be receptive
Well,
to
that's right.
listening.
In theory, yeah, the person comes in, they add more than they take,
Mhm.
right? So you
Or they
get a
don't-
smaller
you don't need
slice of a bigger pie, that deal,
Mm-hmm.
it works right.
And you want to establish, you know, deadlines and timelines, because if you're doing a lot of this on your own, we tend to drag our feet. And one of my, I don't think I have any here, but my inventor brochure, I'm got to do some reworking on it at this point. But the headline on it is, what it'll take you 3 years to do, we do in 3 months. And it's because we set deadlines, timelines, and budgets, and say, here's what needs to be done this month. This is what needs to be done this month. Or not. It doesn't get done. There are reasons for it. But sitting around and watching TV at night and drinking a beer isn't going to get your product licensed. Okay? So, and acting quickly, because there are too many times when inventors wait too long and the market passes them by. Excuse me, the average life of a product in the marketplace today is about 5 years. So if you wait and it takes you 5 years to get your product developed or whatever it is, it's not going to happen. Or if you miss that window of opportunity, the technology changes fast. So I'm going to go over kind of a 6-month plan with you. And this is kind of ideal. You know, it never goes exactly this way, but we're going to kind of talk about how you go about this for licensing. And I'm focusing strictly on licensing today, not launching a product in the marketplace. That's a whole different topic. Now, I say a budget of $3,000 to $10,000. That's if you do it yourself with some professional services. Okay? And that includes, you know, the patent filing or provisional application filing with a professional. $3,000 to $10,000. You doing most of the work here. Okay? So it's not a free ride. You better believe in what you have and be willing to put your money where your mouth is. Month 1, I'm going to go into more detail on these, but you're going to do it yourself research. This is when the idea is in your head and you haven't gone any further. It's do it yourself research. Number 2 is you're going to create a prototype that works. 3, legal and marketing. You have to consider those and where you're going to go with it. The 4th month you're going to spend on researching the market. 5th month is developing a potential licensee list. And the 6th month is a sell sheet, email, and move your feet. Okay, so let's start with month one. You have the idea, so start looking at USPTO for potential patents that might be out there that are like it, similar, whatever. You may find it exactly there already, and you just say, forget it. Or if you have lots of bucks, you probably get control of that license if you're going to take it to market. The YouTube, look on YouTube, because a lot of people forget to do that. And YouTube actually has exceeded Google as a search engine in the marketplace. So if you haven't looked at YouTube for potential products or somebody demonstrating something similar to what you have, you've left out a huge segment of the marketplace. Google, search there also. Sales channels. Let's say that your product goes into the oil and gas industry, because we were talking about that earlier. That might goes into the oil and gas industry. Then what are the sales channels within that industry where products are normally sold? Do some research on your own. Now, my last note there cannot be underestimated. Keeping meticulous notes about what you're doing in the research area. Copies of the websites, copies of patents, or even if you don't copy the patents, get the number of them at least. And make a list and notes to yourself next to it. Because if you look at a whole list of patent numbers, you're not even going to know what they are. You may have recorded them, but what are they really? So put the patent number down, put something next to it saying why you pulled this one out. Now, the worst thing you can do, but it's common, is to say, oh, that one's not like mine. It really isn't, because it has this drawing that goes this way and mine goes this way. No, it's not about the drawings. It's not about, don't try to avoid it. If anything, if it comes even close, don't do what the reaction normally is to push it away and say, no, that's not like mine. Take it with you. Copy that number down, put the note. Okay? Because those notes are going to come in very, very handy later. Now, in that, keeping all those records, because you're going to need them later, by the way. But this is, month 1 is what you do. It's not what anybody else is going to do. This is your homework. If you're not willing to do this, don't even proceed at all with anything. It's a waste of your time. Month 2, oops, typo there.
Mac.
Yeah. Oops. Okay, well, anyway, I'm not going to try to change it there. It's supposed to be make, okay? Make. Or 3D, your first prototype. Some prototypes absolutely cannot be made. You don't want to, if you're doing a jet engine, changing a jet engine, you're not going to do a prototype on a jet engine, right? So 3D modeling can be incredible right now. And it's worth it to sit down with an engineer, not just drawings, but sit down with somebody who really knows what they're doing in 3D animation or prototyping, and get that first unit together. Now, if it's a simple product, you may be able to do the prototyping yourself.
And some of the stuff now too with the 3D printers, you can't believe what they can do.
Oh, they're incredible.
They can actually make the item.
So, and that can be
Put a car
done.
together.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
They're making guns now too. I mean.
And there are companies here. There's one up in Longmont that does prototyping, in 3D modeling type thing, and the I want to say SLAs. It's the printers, the printers that print out parts. So look at different options for prototyping. That's a whole presentation in itself. Is just about prototyping options.
And they can get expensive.
but you want to start there, and because if you've got to prove that it works. If you can't in some way assure yourself that this concept that you have is going to function in the marketplace the way you think it's going to, then don't proceed. You're also going to find that that prototype is going to get changed down the road, and in the process of prototyping, you may be making some changes to that then can be also put into your intellectual property, because that will tweak it.
Mine changed over and over and over.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
tends to do that.
Yeah.
We'll keep
And
it.
they say
As I got further along,
That's right.
you find a better way.
Yeah. And that's why companies continue to patent
Yeah.
because they want to continue to protect, and they make modifications and changes to make something better. Document how yours is unique, okay? And versus the competition. Now, while you're doing all this research, now back in that first slide when I said research Google and YouTube and all of that, look at what products are already out there too, because like I said, majority of products are not patented. So if there's a product out there that looks close to what you have, or even is similar, and even if yours is miles better, doesn't matter. Record that as well. Okay? You want to record intellectual property, record what you find in the way of products. Okay? This is going to come in handy later. It's going to save you a lot of time and effort. Okay? And document
And pictures.
how
is
you're going to be
better than
different.
words.
Okay?
Yeah.
Third month, and I'm telling you, these things are going to take you at least 20 hours a month to do these things. And it could be a lot more, and it could take you 2 months for every 1 month I'm outlining here. Depends. All right, the third month, you want to meet with somebody in the legal profession. You want them to take a look at what you've researched already, the patents, maybe do their own patent search and maybe an opinion, which is a legal opinion of its patentability, so that you have a good foundation to go forward with. If you are definitely set on licensing, you want to file a PPA or a utility patent, if at all possible, as soon as possible. You can always change that utility patent down the road, but keep in mind you only have a year on the PPA. Now, a lot of people will do the PPA because that gives them a year's time to proceed with the rest of this stuff and get moving on, as far as allotment of capital. Okay? So if you want to go the cheap route, do the PPA, and then you've got a year to at least pursue the licensing stuff and all of the changes that you might need to go forward. Okay, 'cause some of this other is going to cost you too. Marketing, meet with a marketing consultant. I'm telling you, do not build a website, don't do anything until you simply consult with regarding its marketability. Because if it's not marketable, you don't need to go forward. When you're doing the research initially, also note things like what's the price of the product that's out there in the market already. What are they manufacturing in the United States? Are they manufacturing offshore? If you can find that information, how well is it selling? Where are they selling it? A lot of that information is going to be real helpful to you as well. You want to, when you meet with anybody outside of your spouse or your patent attorney, you're going to need an NDA, and make sure it's a good one. Not off the internet, or is it Bradford or legal forms, that sort of thing. They're worthless. They are not going to protect you, and you need that protection. Keep in mind that a lot of big companies won't sign them anyway because they see too many products. So you may want to go ahead and file the PPA so that then you can talk to, someone in the marketing area or other entities. But most reputable marketing companies usually will sign an NDA. Okay.
take all your notes and your prototypes, everything to the meetings with you. You know, you want the best bang for your buck. First time around, it saves a lot of time and effort. Don't say I gotta go home and get the stuff, or send it later, or no, take it with you. The 4th month. Okay. Research and determine what is the cost to manufacture your product. What are the margins in your industry? Now, some industries, the margins are very, very tight. You're going into the food industry, you know, like grocery stores and that sort of thing. If they make 1 to 2%, they're happy. So if you're looking for someone in the food industry to license your product, you know, what it sells for is going to be a real different ball game than if you're selling a part to, you know, an automobile or a jet engine or something else. So, you know what the industry margins are. If you're looking at retail, the rule of thumb is 1 to 5. So if you make it for $1, you're going to have to sell it for $5 retail. If you are in the pharmaceutical industry, it's 1 to 10 or more. So they may make it for $1, they may sell it for $10, they may sell it for $100. Could be even more than that, just depends. You think about, think about you know, what it costs to make a pill. You know, it's not the cost of the ingredients.
To give you an idea, a product that I worked on, that I had helped patent, whatever, it's called Ivomec. It's an insecticide. What that means, it kills worms internally and externally. We made a little over 850% product cost margin.
Wow.
Those don't come along a lot, but I mean, but the thing is, the pharmaceutical especially, they usually make very good profits.
But at the same time, in the pharmaceutical industry, you develop a product in the pharmaceutical industry, the multipliers on selling the company based on a pharmaceutical is through the roof. I mean, it's
the biggest problem with pharmaceuticals, there are generic products that really screw them up.
Yeah. Research and know who the competitors are to the product that you're going to put out in the market. I mean, who is going to compete with that, or who's already out there, and you need to know how you're going to position, you know, against that.
And be very concerned with perceived competitors, not only accurate competitors.
Yeah, because a pencil can be a competitor to a computer. Right, so don't get your focus too narrow. Okay, if it's easier to do it with a pencil than it is with a computer, they're not going to pay for the computer. So, and really understand what your marketing budget is, because if you're going to start hiring people to help you, you need to know what can you afford to spend. Or you're going to start putting things together in a package to go out for licensing. Know what your budget is, because if you come and say, well, you know, I want a video shot, and I'd like to have a package, you know, a 24-page package that I can mail out, and I want a brochure that I can attach to an email going out. Oh, and by the way, let's you know, let's do a video and post it up on YouTube. You're starting to run that budget right through the roof. So know what you have to spend, and then get with somebody who understands all the different things that you might need for marketing to put it together, and say, okay, let's prioritize. How do we make this most efficient use of the budget you have? Or they may say to you, I can't help you. You don't have enough in your budget. Month 5. Who is the potential licensee? May not be who you think it's going to be. If you are developing a, let's say, the buttons for this thing, okay? It may not be this company. It may not be the projector company. It may be the company that makes buttons. I had a client with a product that was used in the automotive industry for new cars. It's going to replace the stickers that go on cars. great product. Needed 2 different companies to co-license. Okay? One was Chrysler Corporation, and the other one was Xerox. And it had to go through a special printer. So the 2 of them were going to partner to put these special printers into manufacturing facilities for vehicles, because that's what it was going to take. Okay? They were ready to go. Unfortunately, the client's patent was denied, and they wouldn't license. After we'd already had the agreement put in place, they said it was contingent upon the patent issue. So that's another thing that you can run into. You can spend a lot of money going after a licensing agreement, get big players involved who are ready to go to the table and say, sorry, you don't have a patent? No, I don't want Ford doing this and I can't. Okay, create a contact list with notes. Some people will do that in an Excel form, but you want to start researching who those potential licensees may be. Put it in the, in an Excel sheet, or a Word document will work too. But get that together and make sure you keep notes about every contact you ever make with these people and what you find out in the research process. Contests and direct product scouts are real helpful as well, but keep in mind they get you, the contests in particular really are about an attractive way to advertise for the companies that are running the contests. It's not really about looking for valuable products usually. It's like Shark Tank. Is Shark Tank investors really interested in all these products? It's a TV show. It's about entertainment. Okay? So a good product, and I've seen some that have been absolutely fantastic products that were presented to Shark Tank by a couple of engineers. No, because they don't present well on TV. So knowing that
there is something about showmanship in that stuff.
Yeah, and so contests are not necessarily the best thing for you, but at the same time, if let's say you go to the National Hardware Show, I've been there a million times. I've been guest speaker, broke my shoulder the last time I was there. But anyway, these contests can be helpful in that if you win an award for your product, it helps you then presenting to a potential licensee and saying, look, I took best of show. Okay? So that can add to your credibility with that product, and trying to get it licensed. Okay? Direct product scouts are very good sources because they are always looking for new products. And companies will contract with people to go look for products for them. And that's an ideal scout. It's not somebody who's just collecting a bunch of patents out there and goes to a trade show and has them on their computer and says, well, would you like to see all the products that we have available for licensing? It's worthless. They're there to advertise their services. They're not there to license your product because you paid them to be there.
Bonnie, if I go to a trade show, should I definitely have my product available for sale, or can I go there looking for a license? I mean, is the trade show, which scenarios are really worth my while, or what do the players want to see?
That's a loaded question. There are tons of ways I could answer that. Okay? If your product's all ready to go to market, you've got all the packaging in place, the product's available, you can take orders, go and exhibit. On the other hand, if you've never been to a trade show in your life, your product is in the patent pending stage, or you're thinking about licensing it, you may want to attend the show, but not necessarily exhibit. If you have a prototype, or you want to go to a show, the hardware show, the golf show, there are several shows that are available where they have, and I started this with the United Inventors Association. I negotiated the first contract of putting the inventors at the National Hardware Show with Reed exhibits. But those are great venues for inventors with new products. But be prepared. Know why you're going.
Could I suggest one thing too? It's a good place to find potential people to deal with. But the thing is,
Yeah.
don't tell them more than you have to. I mean, don't tell them too much, because then you can blow them away too.
They're also, all your competitors are going to be there.
That's right.
If you're at an industry show. So you want to be very careful and be prepared when you do go. Why are you going? Okay? Are you looking for a manufacturer? Are you looking for sales? Are you looking for a licensee? Know what it is so that when you go, you choose the right venue and why you're going.
And what I was trying to say, and I apologize for interrupting,
Yeah.
but I'm saying sometimes you're better off to walk the show and to see what is there, rather than showing the first time out, because you're gonna, on the average, people who do that, I've found, usually screw up. If they at least walk the show, get a feeling for it.
Yeah, going and walking a show is a good idea, but it depends upon the product and the individual, because
That's right.
not every inventor has the money to go and be able to get into a show. The Pet Products Manufacturers Show is an excellent venue for pet products, but the cost to join that
It's prohibitive,
association, to even go to the show, to get in that door, is outrageous. So what you want to do is you want to take a look at what is the best route for my product, my situation, where I'm at right now. And that is something that is very individualized. I can consult with you on it and help you through that process, but it's so individualized. There's not one answer. There just isn't. But if you're in the early stages, I would not suggest that you go and rent a booth at a regular $5,000. The average trade show costs you, even just to go there with a booth, is going to be at least $20,000, maybe a lot more.
Plus, yeah.
Month 6. So you've done all of this work so far. Now what are you going to do in the 6th month? You've got your list of contacts. You've done all the research work. You've got a provisional file or a utility file. You know, you've met with somebody regarding marketing. You know what the possibilities are. You know what the cost is probably to manufacture it at this point, or approximate. You know who your competition is. You're ready to go find somebody to license this. Okay, so you're going to prepare a sell sheet, which is a 1-page summary of the features of your product and its benefits. If you can link to a video on this sheet, that is very helpful. You know, you have drawings, graphics, your 3D stuff that you've done, your prototype, whether it's photos. It really needs to be prepared very succinctly and showing just the basics. What you're trying to do is to get them to call you, not tell them everything in the world. That's the worst thing you can do. Yes?
Is the sell sheet pretty similar to a press release?
No. Very different. Okay, different audience.
Okay.
Okay? The sell sheet really needs to be visually attractive, and you need to be able to, 4 entities in a corporation when it goes to, it has to address engineering. It has to get their attention, because you don't know, it may go to engineering at some point. It has to appeal to marketing, has to appeal to accounting, and who did I miss? Marketing. Has to appeal to the marketing department. Because when it goes there, it's going to end up in some clerk's hands to start with. They're going to take a visual impression of it and say, well, I think this needs to go to Joe, who's head of manufacturing. No, this one I'm going to send to marketing. Okay. You don't know where it's going.
This little word called
Okay.
KISS, it's called Keep It Simple, Stupid.
So you
Don't
want
forget
it as
that.
basic as possible, but enticing.
Yeah.
So that they know why they should be looking further, why they need to ask more questions. That's why a video, drawings, graphics are really attractive. Most people are visual. And if you have good visuals, that's going to help.
Now, when you contact companies not at a trade show,
Mm-hmm.
do you suggest not sending your product to them? Just the sales sheet?
Do not send a product to anybody. No, it's a waste of time and money.
Unless you're attached.
And most, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, most of them will tell you, do not send a
They
product.
don't
That's
wanna
what
see
I
it.
thought I heard.
Yeah,
they don't want it.
think of it this way. If the person who's making some of these decisions may be a clerk. They may have a desk that's smaller than one of these tables. Nothing else. They're just shuffling papers or emails or whatever. Even the buyer at Petco, I went out there to present a product for possible inclusion at Petco at one time. The buyer met me for 10 minutes, was in a cubicle that couldn't be more than
She was looking.
4 foot by
She's gotta meet
6
him.
foot. Okay? Didn't even have a dog. The product I was taking was for a dog. Okay? You know, so if you were to send their prototype ahead of time, what good's it gonna do? Alright?
But understand this, keep it simple, stupid. Don't ever forget that term,
Yeah.
if I can suggest.
So, you know, the sell sheet, I put IP status with caution because you don't want to say I have a provisional application on file, because what did I say earlier?
You want to wait for it to run out.
That's right.
I mean,
Okay.
That's why I
Wait
didn't do
till
anything
they're
until I had a
interested.
patent, so.
Wait till they're interested.
Yeah.
Okay? Then, you know, you reveal what you have to reveal. And sometimes if it's good enough, I mean, they may want to help you out with repatenting or with finalizing that patent or participating with it. I had one situation where it was a patent pending. It was actually a patent, that was utility patent was filed, but the woman that I was working with didn't want to reveal anything in it because it was provisional, or excuse me, it was a patent pending, not issued. So we actually went through an intermediary company out of Chicago to estimate the value of the patent without disclosing to the potential licensee, but anything but the value of that patent to them. We actually got an offer from the manufacturer to license that intellectual property. Okay? Unfortunately, a lot of inventors shoot themselves in the foot, and that's what she did. They offered one number, and she was so insulted by it, she put a 0 on the end of it, and the guy, she blew the whole deal. And we're talking about Dixie, the cup manufacturer. Personally, don't give me anything, just take my IP, make it successful, and send me checks. You know, but she wanted $150,000, they offered her $15,000. So she blew the deal by pushing it. It's gone nowhere.
They're not there to make you feel good.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the things that can happen
What
to
did she
you.
end up with?
Nothing.
0.
0. She's got a patent.
Did she
Yeah.
consult with a
So, Italy.
patent attorney?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Patent attorney filed the patent.
Well, no, I mean in the licensing litigation over the number. I mean, did she
No,
discuss it with
it wasn't
anyone?
even to that point. I mean, what we got was an offer.
Right. Did she discuss that with anyone else?
She and I did. I mean, we talked about what the value, you know, what's realistic
Oh, I thought
to.
she just did it on her own.
No. I was representing her.
Oh.
And so I got shot in the foot too, you know, because she wouldn't allow me to take it. Okay? So, needless to say, I don't do any more of that because I know that launching a product's the best way to go, but in that case, that's one of those where it's patentable but not marketable. She is not going to make a lid for a cup and market it.
Be careful what parameters you set.
Okay? It's not going to happen. So that's why I say IP status with caution. Eventually, when you get to a licensing negotiation point, or when they get really interested, then you can start revealing, you know, what the actual intellectual property protection is. You can hint to it. You can say patent pending. But patent pending could mean I went down and filed my own PPA with the patent office yesterday, Or it could mean, well, I have my first office action and the thing will issue within this month. Very different extremes on patent pending. Okay? And that's going to affect how they view what you have intellectual property wise. Okay? Create a form email, make it brief, very professional. And the reason I say this is because when you send that sell sheet, you want to have some kind of a well-worded email, short, just succinct, you know, fill in the blank sort of thing, so that if you're talking to 20 companies and you're talking to 20 different people, you're ready to send it on the spot. You're on the telephone, you're talking to the person, and they say, well, you know, would you send me that information? That's what you wanted to hear. Sure, it'll be there. You see it? Okay? So they've got it right there. All you're doing is typing in their name. Hey, talk to you today. Great, you know, great conversation. You might add a couple of little things to personalize it, but at least you have it ready to go. And you attach your sell sheet with it. Okay?
And that gives you an opportunity to just discuss, you know, the sell sheet and the brief.
Yeah.
With the person over the phone.
If that's the person that you can talk to about it. Usually it isn't. It's they're screening it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then and that's why I say the sell sheet's so critical, because telling somebody something is going to go in one ear and out the other, and it's probably not the person that needs to see it anyway. So it better be included in what you're, you know, the other things that you're sending with it.
And a lot of those screeners have no idea what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
even when you send it to them.
But don't underestimate the value of the clerk who answers the telephone, because they are your gateway, and they can either shut that gate tight and you'll never get in, or they can open it for you and get it to the right person.
And they'll have every excuse to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, be nice. No one is to be discounted within a company. And I don't care if they're the janitor. The janitor knows people who work late at night. Okay? So, and then, you know, once you get all this together, you know, as far as the licensing end of this, you've got to act fast. And that means moving your feet, getting on your computer, being able to get that email out right away, to be able to talk professionally and not talk too much, because as Jeff was just saying, well, gee, give you an opportunity to talk to this person. Maybe not. Especially if it's the inventor calling, because you end up killing the sale rather than making the sale. Usually the inventor is not a good spokesperson for themselves, because you're telling the clerk how this jet engine works, and they were just hired last week. They don't care.
You're telling them about something she doesn't know.
No.
Yeah.
So, you know, move your mouth, but professionally, briefly, and get the point across and get to the people that you need to. Get that list out, start making your telephone calls. Okay? And I know cold calling is scary. You get on the internet, start finding procedures of companies for how they take and review ideas. If you know somebody that works for Motorola and you're going to be like, you know, you wanted somebody at Motorola, go talk to them. If you don't have a profile on LinkedIn, get one, and then start looking for people that work in those professions to get into the door in that way too. There are multiple ways to get attention to what you have. Don't just use one.
May I comment for one thing? I've been on LinkedIn for some time, and the thing is, I can't believe how many people have never heard of LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
they don't realize the benefit of that thing. It gets you to
Huge.
people that you would never have ever gotten to before. I've got something like 35 to 3,600 contacts on there, and the thing is, use it. There's a reason they want to be linked in with you. They think you've got something important to talk about.
I get a lot of requests from inventors all over the country and out of the country, and it's because if you just put my name in the search engine, you'll it'll fill a page.
So, I mean, the unique thing for me was that I was able to find my old boss at Merck, who's now in Australia, and he found me, and I found whatever. So we got back and forth to talk again.
It's
Yeah.
very valuable for
It
finding
is.
ways
very
to the back door when the front door doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of new tools out there for inventors. Okay. The QVC, if it's a retail product, there's a Sprouts program. We had someone from the Sprouts program here and actually did a presentation about how to navigate that system, and that was pretty cool what they're doing for inventors. And that is a really neat program that they have, that they're welcoming inventors. That would be a good one to repeat, because it was well attended and the information was so valuable. The media loves you, but just because you get on the Late Show doesn't mean you're going to make it. Okay, especially if the timing's off. Okay. So knowing marketing wise when to leverage the publicity to your advantage is critical. A lot of resources out there are, more and more of them are available. Companies are searching for products. There's a lot of information about the system available in credible sources. I would go to uiausa.org. It is the most valuable resource available for inventors, nonprofit, 501c3, just like we are here. It's about education and providing opportunities for inventors. They list on their site. I know we're part of their network of approved groups, because they only are interested in groups that are educational, not for profit. Crowdsourcing is wonderful. By the way, well, I guess I've got it down at the bottom. Crowdsourcing is terrific if you're taking a product to market. It's not of much use for people who have patents. Don't think you're going to use that for getting funding for getting your patent out there. It's not going to help. Okay. Patent office opening branches. As Roger said, that's iffy as how much value is there.
Supposedly July,
Yeah.
and we'll, as soon as we can, we're going to have people come present, or we'll even go there and tour. Have a meeting.
I think we should.
And then the other thing, listing patents.
Yes.
For license. I don't know if they told you this in the other group, but you can get in the Patent Office Gazette, which is an every Tuesday publication. Did they tell you that?
Yeah.
$25 a month, and this Gazette is read by lots of industry players. It's where they announce all the new trademarks, all the new patents. But they have a section in there, patents looking for licensing. You can get in there.
Okay.
And you want to use as many, like I said before, as many
Go
channels
to our
as you
website. I think I forgot it on the homepage or what, but there's a guy named Lamont Fletcher. I've got a phone number. I can give it to you.
Okay.
Just it's like Bonnie said, do the tour. You got to work as many sources as you can.
And that's a very inexpensive one, and God, you've got the patent through the USPTO. Why not use that? Because other people are looking for items, may also be looking there.
I think it also shows your commitment to the product. If you're trying a bunch of different avenues, and then finally you get one hook, and you're like, well, I tried A, B, C, and D, and finally, E's interested, rather than just being like, oh, I just went to you guys, and I made one phone call, and
Right.
I didn't do any other legwork. So
And as an inventor, if you only go to one source and you get turned down, you get pretty depressed. And tomorrow you don't want to pick up the telephone.
yeah, really, if you do like multiple in one day, instead of doing just one a day, hit as many people up as you can. You kind of forget about putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
But cold calling is not easy, especially for inventors. It's scary. Okay. So I don't know what time it is. I'm running away.
8:35.
Oh my gosh, okay. Not too bad then. Okay, so just
Failure is just one step to success.
Yeah.
I'll stick around if you guys